Mas eles têm filho. Eu sou cunhada.
O irmão tem filho.
Nossa, mas ela vai com bebê filho?
Vai. Olha só. Aqui no Brasil não é. Outra coisa.
No Brasil tem.
Ele tá pensando até em mim. A gente é casa dele. Sim. Eu já filmei, claro.
Isso muda, né? Você ainda mais lá que. Cara, você não para lá, velho.
Você sabe, já foi. Vai, outra hora.
Tá usando caneta hoje, amor?
Eu?
Olha só. Legal.
Eu gosto de caneta. Ela é quentinha. Aqui é gelado, né?
Certo, deixa aqui, você sabe.
Ela tá morando na Europa e tá fazendo pernoite em casa. Tipo assim, chegou ontem, 4 horas, hoje, 3 horas, chega embora. Então, nunca tá fazendo pernoite em casa. Desse tempo que entra.
Não, vou marcar, até falei com a Pamela, a gente
Londres e
vai
França,
semana,
mais fácil.
falei com a Ana já, só que eu já soube. Vocês ouviram saber que eu você talvez fique mais fácil. Deixa eu falar com a Ana,
Londres então é super caro, cara.
amanhã ela vem e a gente tem que marcar talvez terça-feira, funciona bem para vocês.
Também, eu acho que não tem problema de bobo. Tá de ficar fora, então. Então, bom, né?
Tá matando a saudade.
Mas de repente a gente está juntos, vamos conversar aqui na começar já. A gente vamos conversar, de repente a gente vai logo. É bom que ela vai fazer antes de vir para
Isso, vai dar.
Vamos, 6 anos.
Bom, a gente já está 5 minutos atrasado ainda. Deixa o povo entrando devagarzinho.
Olá, bom dia, tudo bem?
Bom dia.
Oi, bom dia. Hoje estou aqui na prova.
Ah, ótimo. Quanto mais melhor. Começa agora com você.
Isso aqui é o Erick?
Esse é o Erick.
Eu já conversei com você uma semana, um mês atrás que eu ia vir. Agora que deu certo. É Luciana.
Luciana,
É.
seja bem-vinda. Tudo bem? A gente vai fazer uma leitura inicial. Hello everybody, we're turning to English mode now. Welcome everybody, all the new faces, you're very welcome. I need some extra chairs, so if some volunteers can help to bring more chairs if needed.
I think so. Yes, for sure.
Okay, so feel free, you can put another row here and some chairs behind. We will figure it out. We will start reading the text that's in the book Our Bread, the psychography of Chico Xavier by the Spirit Emmanuel. And the text entitled Spiritism and in Faith. And these signs shall follow them that who believe. In my name shall they cast out devils, they shall speak new languages. Jesus, Gospel of Mark, chapter 16, verse 17. The manifestations of spiritual life remain in all the foundations of divine revelation, in the most varied circles of faith. Spiritism itself, therefore, no longer a new one, nowadays figures in the root of all religious schools. Moses makes contact with the spiritual life in Sinai, in the Mount Sinai. Jesus is seen by the disciples in Tabor, flanked by the illustrious dead. The Apostolic College communicates to the spirit of the Master after his death and consolidates the redemptive Christianism in the world. The circus martyrs abandon the tormented flesh, contemplating sublime visions. Mohammed begins the religious task by listening to an invisible messenger. Francis of Assisi perseveres emissaries from heaven urging him to renew the church. Lutero records the presence of beings from another world. Teresa d'Avila is visited by disincarnated friends and even inspects purgatorial regions through the medianistic phenomena of unfolding during the sleep. Signs of the kingdom of spirits will follow those who believe, says the Christ. In all the institutions of faith there are those who enjoy, who calculate, who criticize, who oversee. These are also candidates for definitive self-renovation and enlightenment. Those who believe, however, and accept the determinations of the service that come from above will be followed by the revealing notes of immortality, wherever they are. In the name of the Lord, spreading sanctifying vibrations, they will fade darkness and evil away, and will be easily known among frightened men, because they will speak in the new languages of sacrifice and peace, renunciation and love. Welcome everybody, let us pray. Now I would like to invite you to close your eyes and remember about our Father, our Creator, the Divine Light. Dear Father, we thank you for this wonderful meeting today, our first of the year, where we can find water for our lives, where we can find light to our souls. Bring today, Father, our contact to the most important being in our lives, our guardian angels, so we hear them and follow their instructions to be better beings, to have a better life. May today we start this year fully connected to the confidence in you, to the confidence in life, and the confidence in ourselves. May faith guide our lives in 2020. So be it. Welcome everybody. It's very nice to see the house so full in the 5th. It's minus 9 outside, so I guess you all made a lot of effort to be here, so it's nice. Thank you very much for the effort. And today we have a very special meeting talking about faith. But before we do that, I just would like to invite you all on the January 26th. We will be having our extraordinary meeting to talk about what we are planning for 2020, what's our goals for this year, to receive your feedback as well. So it will be wonderful if you all join us for this lunch. It's gonna be a lunch right after the meeting that we're having right now on the 26th. We will have this lunch and extraordinary meeting. So you are all mostly invited and welcome. Unshakable faith and reasoned faith. How is my faith in the beginning of this year? I guess most of you have already heard about this concept about unshakable faith. Not very often. It's in the book The Gospel According to Spiritism. A very nice text from Allan Kardec reflecting about faith. And also reasoned faith, because many Spiritists claim that Spiritism faith is different because it's reason. So we will talk a little bit about this today. But before that, I would like to invite you to reflect a little bit. What is religion? What does religion mean to you? What is faith? And what faith means to you? How is your faith these days, based on this concept you have? And do you find relief in your struggles of life with your faith? Does your faith is strong enough to bring you relief in moments of struggle? Based on that, we will start our reflections in the chapter 19 of the book according with the Gospel According to Spiritism, entitled Faith Moves Mountains. And I guess most of you have already heard about this expression, faith moves mountains. Who said that? Jesus said that. Do you remember when he said that? Or why? Does anybody? No? That's alright. We're not here to trick you. We're here to learn together. So, in the Gospel of Matthew, chapter 17, there is this passage. When they come to the crowd, a man approached Jesus and kneeled before him. Lord, have mercy of my son, he said. He has seizures and he is suffering greatly. He often falls into the fire or into the water. I brought him to your disciples, but they could not heal him. You believe in and persevere, unbelieving and perverse generation. Jesus replied, how long shall I stay with you? How long shall I put up with you? Bring before the boy here to me. Jesus rebuked the demon, and it came out of the boy, and he was healed at the moment. Then the disciples came to Jesus in private and asked, why couldn't we drive it out, the demon out? And he replied, because you have so little faith. Truly I tell you, if you have faith as small as a mustard seed, you can say to this mountain, move from here to there, and it will move. Nothing will be impossible for you. Now you guys remember, at least whoever heard this passage before, I guess, and for those who are not familiar, I guess a little bit more familiar with the passage, what happened. So basically, there was a sick person, the son of this man, and the disciples tried to heal him, but they didn't. And then the sir came and asked Jesus, can you do the service, because they are not able to? And he basically answered to the disciples after healing the boy, why they didn't. And it comes then a very important passage for all of us. Because first he gives us a few metaphors here to reflect. First, he classifies faith as small as big. Can we classify feelings and as small or big? We usually say, I love you a lot. But how can I measure this a lot? Love is a feeling, isn't it? How do I measure this a lot?
With actions?
Actions. That's a great point. Because our feelings turn out in actions, right?
Mm-hmm.
Jesus told us that we can notice when we become better because of the results of our actions. So this could be as like a little bit of a sign of what will be the size of like our feelings, but it's not a way of measuring the feeling itself.
The feeling itself. But measuring the actions, you can say that if the feeling is overflowing the person or not. Because all of us have faith here. Doesn't matter how big it is, or if it's as small as a mustard seed. That's another metaphor. And then he says, if it's as small as a mustard seed, which is supposed to be very small, I don't know if you guys have ever seen, but mustard seed is small. It's way smaller than a pepper seed. It's a very small seed. So he was basically, yes, very little faith. And you can move a mountain. That's another metaphor, right? Because I don't think we are able to move mountains even though our faith is really big. But what is he trying to tell us here is our goal today. And for understanding this, I would like to question, what is religion?
Comes from
Really got it.
Which is your connection with faith, connection with God.
Connection with God. Everybody agree? Is there any other definition for religion here?
It's a connection that we have inside ourselves with God.
Okay. But what if we say, well, there are 200 different types of religions, and then, or 200 different religions, and then you come and say, well, but the definitions mainly made here were a feeling that connects us to God, right? So there are 200 different feelings to connect us to God? No?
I think it's a belief.
It's a belief? Well, this is an important thing I usually like to clarify, because where this word comes from, the word religion. From the Latin, the word comes from religare, which means to tie, to bind, to reconnect to something. And this meaning to the source of life. And then the source of life you may call God, you may call Allah, you may call whatever you want. Then comes the other question. Why do we use religion as there are many different ways to reconnect? Are there many ways?
I think there's only the main way would be through prayer. If you pray, you're connecting. But I'm not sure if there's lots of ways. Maybe.
That's a good call, prayer. Let's do this then. The way I learn things, is it the same as you learn?
Probably not.
So the way I will get that knowledge will be the same that you get.
The way I understand can be or cannot. I don't know.
Can be or cannot, right? But most likely is not, because each one of us has a way to learn. Each one of us, some people like to read a text and they learn. Some people need to write, get the text and copy the whole text. There are people who need to read 10 times the text. There are people who have to read the text, give a break and then read it again. There are people who even read the text in loud voice, record it, and hear it for themselves. So there are so many ways of us to learn. And if we are talking that religion is a process, because reconnecting is a process, my process most likely is not the same as yours. So yes, there are many ways to connect to Him. Through prayer, through developing myself to a most virtuous life, I will feel more presence of God or this light. And why we are saying all this? Because one of the problems we have been seeing over these years is people criticizing religion. The problem of the world is religion, or religion, and people hate the word faith because of the connection to the word religion. But we have to first of all re-signify these words for us, because first of all we have most of the time a bad interpretation of them. Look, if someone finds a way to connect himself to God through Catholicism, through Islamism, through Buddhism, through Spiritism, is the way that the person found a way to reconnect. Who am I to say your way is wrong? Because then I will be telling you your way to learn is poor. Why do you copy 300 times the same text to get it by heart? But it's your way. And who am I to tell you what is the best way to do? I can tell you how it worked for me, right? It worked for me, and I can show you, guys, if it works for you, be my guest. Lovely if you can use. And why we are talking about this? Because the text that I mentioned before, that Allan Kardec mentions about this unshakable faith, brings a reflection exactly on this issue, connecting to the many different ways to reconnect, or if you want, many different ways of religion, to this feeling that comes inside of us, with all of us, that faith. There are a lot of people who say, I just believe, I can't explain, I just have faith. fair enough. There are other people who, no, I have to read and understand fully in details. That's my way of faith. Perfect. Each one, if it's finding peace in the heart, is the most important. Right? We're not here to tell you my faith is bigger than yours, or my faith is better than other ways to believe. But Kardec says, from the religious point of view, faith is the belief in the particular dogmas that comprise the different religions. All religions have their articles of faith. From this aspect, faith may be either rational or blind. Blind faith examines nothing, accepts both the false as well as the truth, without verification, and clashes at every step with evidence and reason. Taken to the extreme, it produces fanaticism or fanatics. Then comes the question. Here Kardec's basically pointing out, if you just truly believe and don't examine that, that might become what he calls blind faith. And I guess most of the time when we are criticizing someone because of their faith, it's not the faith, but the way they're choosing to express this faith. And many times it's blind. And what is the blind faith exactly? I just believe because the priest, or it's written in the Bible, or it's written in the Spirit's book. Because yes, in Spiritism we have blind faith as well. It's not because it's written in a book that we should be pursuing unshakable faith, reasoned faith, or convicted faith that we have. It's a process, it's a feeling, right? It's a virtue. And with that said, he comes and renew this reflection. Whenever faith rests upon error, it collapses sooner or later. That's why blind faith collapses all the time. It's sooner or later. Faith that is based on the truth is the only kind assured of the future, because it has nothing to fear from the progress of enlightenment. So since whatever it's true in the obscurity is also true in full light. So let's make some quotes here. Faith that's based on the truth. Then my question, what is truth? What is truth? That's my question for you.
The divine laws?
The divine laws. Wow. That's a wonderful answer. But where are the divine laws?
In our conscience.
In our conscience. And why we don't access it to Carol? Yeah. So Carol basically answered these questions because they are in the Spirit's book. Kardec once questions the spirits. Where are the divine laws? And they answer, it's written in the conscience of every being. And then he questions again, why we forgot it then? Why don't we know it? Why do we need the Spiritism to tell us what are the divine laws? Why do we need Christianism to tell us? And then they say, you forgot or denied it. And we are here to remind you. So the spirits came to remind us. And one part of the book, the Spirit's book, the third part of the book, is fully talking about divine laws. Talking about the law, the highest law, which is the law of love, charity, and justice. Talking all the others, one important, the law of progress, that connects to us here somehow. So, if the truth is settled on the divine laws, and the faith should be based on the truth, what am I invited to do then?
Exercise them. Exercise them.
First of all, I have to know them, right? Because if I don't know something, how can I exercise it? I might be exercising it without knowledge, but that comes back to the blindness that we were talking before, right? We're trying to go to a more knowledgeable way of evolvement. So I know now I'll know a little better the divine law of love, for example. So I'm starting to understand love better. And then I start getting to the question I made before: how can I assure that my love now is bigger than before? Through the actions. But how do I know that my actions are loving actions? Because I studied the law of love. Now I'm trying to push my actions to be settled by that law. Otherwise, my actions will be probably being the same. And that's what most of spiritists do. We learn a lot, we read all these books, but in action, still lack. The invitation really is take this knowledge and turn it in practice. And then as we turn it in practice, we will see our actions more and more virtuous. And this is great because that brings us peace of mind, peace of heart. And then he continues, every religion claims to be in exclusive possession of the truth. However, to profess blind faith on a point of belief is to confess one's inability to demonstrate that one's is right. So everyone will claim, I am with the truth. You. And now, how do we solve this puzzle? If someone is telling that my truth or my divine laws are better than yours, right? But let me question you this. Do the divine laws change? They shouldn't, right? Because they are one for me, for everybody. Otherwise, some people would have privilege because they know better or advanced without knowing, evolving. But, once again, is there any religion that knows more the divine laws than others? That's a tricky question. It's not about the religion to know. It's not the problem of the religion to remind us something that's already in us. If the spirits told us that the divine laws are in our conscience, it's our own work to connect ourselves and understand that. And we can go through the Spirit's book, but it's very clear there that we can't deny ourselves. We can try, but in the deep, when we are doing our prayer, when we are going to sleep in the dark hour there that we're closing our eyes, we have the alert reminding, hey, stealing is not good, right? Hey, doing to others what you would like to do, them do to you is a nice thing to do, so don't treat other people badly, right? Those times that we start reflection, even though subconscious, this reflection, sometimes this reflection comes really subconscious, because I'm fighting against it, because I have pleasure sometimes, and make other people suffer. Unfortunately, yes, most of us keep doing bad things to other people because we feel pleasure in that. Sad or not. There are other people who do bad things because they are in need, and they understand, because I am in need, I don't care about the others. Is it correct? Probably not. Because his conscience already bringing the weight of pain and suffering. But then with this said, I would like to bring you what Spiritism calls us to faith. Because independently, if I have more affinity to Christianism, specifically Catholicism, if I do have more for Spiritism, go for it. That's the most important. Each one of us have the freedom, and this is a law of freedom. It's in the third part of the Spirit's book. And as we find ourselves more and more fulfilled with love, with peace, it means that I'm finding my way, right? Because my way of learning, is it the same of you, Carol? No, right? So, with that said, our book that we started today, or the text we started today, has a very nice invitation from Emmanuel. When he says, the manifestations of spiritual life remain in all foundations of divine revelation, in the most varied circles of faith, Spiritism itself, therefore, no longer a new one, or a new faith, nowadays figures in the root of all religion schools. That's a tough one, eh? Many Spiritists will complain about what Emmanuel is saying here. How come we are on the roots of all religious faith? Well, I read the full text before, and he was pointing about Moses. He's also talking about who else? Jesus, Saint Francis, Lutero, and many others, not just in the Spiritism or Christianism side. Spiritism itself, therefore, no longer a new one, a new doctrine or new faith, nowadays figures in the roots of all religions, because we are all pursuing the same thing. The reconnection, to connect ourselves to the source of life. Then he finishes the text with this wonderful passage. Signs of the kingdom of spirits will follow those who believe, says the Christ. In all the institutions of faith, there are those who enjoy, who calculate, who criticize, or who oversee. These are also candidates for definitive self-renovation and enlightenment. Hey, everybody, even those who criticize, who create the problem, but those who believe, however, and accept determinations of service that come from above will be followed by the revealing notes of immortality wherever they are. And this is what I call spiritism, and personally what fulfilled a lot my heart. Because when we start understanding the immortality of the soul, and that we go through many lives, and these many lives we learn, we made right things, we made bad things, and in this process we keep evolving. That fulfilled my heart so deeply, because then all the dogmas fade away. All the dogmas weren't needed before, because now I found the reason for why this go this way. Why should I, for example, since obvious, but 3,000 years ago was already saying that we still struggle to live the golden rule. We still struggle to love or to do the other what I would like them to do to me. Why do we still struggle? Why do we still struggle so much to do that? And as we understand that we are immortal spirits, that will transcend this life, and this, in the new life, I will still be carrying the weights of previous lives, that also brings me comfortable understanding some struggles I pass in this life. Because nothing more just than the law of cause-effect. We reap what we sow. It's not God punishing us, it's not anybody punishing us. It's just something that I am now, in a phase, in a moment of my existence, to transcend, to pass over this. Because 3,000 years ago, as I mentioned, if you truly believe that you live many lives, can you imagine what were you doing 3,000 years ago? How many people we killed? How many people we did bad things? How many people suffered in our hands? And now, with a little bit more knowledge, a little bit more understanding of the law of love, I chose not to kill anymore. I chose not to make other people suffer. And with this knowledge, I am sure that in my next life, I will be better than I was in this life. And this is the law of progress that I mentioned before. Because if we do all the effort we can, this life, this very moment, this very year, to do all good that we can, I have faith that next life, or after this life, I will come out of this body better than I was when I came in. So if this all makes sense, in the name of the Lord, spreading, sanctifying vibrations, they will fade darkness and evil away, and will be easily known amongst frightened men, because they will always speak in the new language of sacrifice and peace, renunciation and love. Why sacrifice? This is a word that has an awful connotation. Awful connotation. Most of the time we understand sacrifice as a bad thing. Suffering. Suffering, exactly. What does sacrifice means really? Or the meaning that Emmanuel is using here, which is not the bad one, I guarantee you.
The sacred work.
The sacred work. So, work. What is the sacred work? To come to Spirit Center or go to church? What is the sacred work that we have? Each one of us have. Is it with God?
With ourselves.
It's for God, because it's with ourselves. The most important, the most sacred, the most holy work we have, it's ourselves. Remember that I said before? I born in this life, died this life. After I die, am I anything better than when I came in? If yes, I made some sacrifice. I really developed the most important being for me. It's not my son, it's not my daughter, it's not my wife. It's myself. All of them are very, very important. I'm not saying I'm not being selfish. It's not this. Because if I am not doing well, is my family doing well? No. So that's what we need to really understand. If I am doing my holy work, my sacred work, I will find peace. Because I feel like fulfilling one checkbox in this life. My bucket list, being a better person. Right? And renunciation and love. This is another word that I love to re-signify, because renunciation is a word that people really discuss most of the time. They say that's a passive thing, that it should not be passive. Renunciation is a bad thing. What is renunciation? Who wanna risk? I'm already giving you a clue. It's not a bad thing.
I believe he's trying to say about the renunciation of our ways to, instead of listening to our conscience, listen to our passions. So in this way, when they said renunciation, it's like we are renunciation of passions to be able to connect with this conscience and with this true love and true love. And this way is like it's quite a renunciation, but in fact it's much better than it looks like.
And I think it's connected with accepting our mission.
Mm-hmm. It's connected for sure. Submission then. I will give you an example how I learned better the meaning of this. We have a work, and this Sunday specifically we don't, but we have every first Monday of Sunday of the month. It's lunch and learn. And this lunch and learn, we walk through family reflections, right? We talked about the couple wellness relationship. We are talking currently the parents and kids wellness relationship. And when we were talking about the couple relationship, it became very clear for me what's renunciation. Basically because a marriage is a big task of renunciation. But not the renunciation that we fully normally understand. But if we connect fully with this virtue, it's beautiful. Because renunciation means, in a marriage, I love you if, important, capital lock on, if you are like this, and this, and this. But the person is not like this, and this, because he or she is also an imperfect being, incarnated in an imperfect world. So, what has to do with renunciation then, Erick? That if I renounce the if, you don't need to be perfect to be my husband or my wife. I renounce you to be in my perfect list, or the way my perfect list asks you to be. And then, now I renounce my ego, because that's what the ego is doing there. My ego is calling, Carol, you should have black hair. I don't like your yellow hair. Why you're doing that? Right? So this type of renunciations help us to live fully in love. Because do we like when people tell us, I will love you just if you are like this, and this? We don't like it, right? Nobody likes it, because I am already struggling to be a better being, and then you come and tell me, I won't love you if you don't change this. So a renunciation of having to live in a perfect world and the other people have to be perfect, but I can be happy, I can be a better being, even though you are not a perfect being yet as well. And accepting myself, because the renunciation comes to me. And that's the most deep one. Because all the feelings of perfectionism, for example, I am pushing myself to the edge. Hey, seeking to be the best is not a bad thing. Now, the best of what? The best of me. So I am renouncing that I am not perfect yet, that I still have a lot of things to do, but I will do it with love, knowing that I can. Maybe not in this life, maybe not in this life. I won't probably be Madre Teresa in this life. I won't be able to renounce everything as she did and go to the middle of India to help people. I'm not ready yet. And I have to accept myself, I'm not ready yet. I'm not ready yet to do as St. Francis did, to renounce everything and live barely with clothes. Not ready yet. I'm not completely detached of the material life. And I have to understand myself on this. But as I evolve, I can work in this detachment. slowly. I can work to do good as Madre Teresa did. I can work, but depends on my effort. And if I have faith, is it easier to renounce or not? Is it easier to sacrifice or not? If I develop myself in faith, all the other virtues will become easier to be fulfilled. Because now I have what we call convicted faith. And convicted faith comes from this unshakable. I fully understand the rationale behind this, why this is. I will develop confidence in myself. Because I truly believe that I am the only one who can do it. Nobody can do my self-development. Nobody can do it. Not even God. Otherwise, what God would be doing if He would develop me to be a perfect being from now and tomorrow? He would be giving me merits that I don't have. And that's why we understand that there is not even Jesus, as we see Him as a potential model and guide for our lives.
He doesn't do the work for us.
Won't do the work for us. Because that's the merit I develop. Right? Confidence in life. Understand that life is not coming here to punish us, to make us suffer, to make us unhappier. No. I understand now that life actually is pushing me to be better. My choices maybe are not making me happier, but okay, I learned, made a mistake. Next time, will I do exactly the same? Will I keep doing something that is either bothering me or other people? I can. I have the law of freedom. But our law of freedom is always followed by another law, like we talked about. Action and reaction. We reap what we sow. If we were sowing good things, am I reaping good things? And then sometimes people come, but that person is such a good person, do all the good she can or he can, and develop a cancer. And he or she will die young. And then it's understandable why people who don't believe in reincarnation would say, oh, that's God punishing. Because there is nothing other possibility. It's a good person doing all the good and then still struggling. But if I do believe in reincarnation and understand that I open wide my timeline, I will understand that, yeah, maybe in the past I'm just expiating something that I done in the past. And I will live with it the best I can. Sorry, I will just go back there. With sacrifice and peace, renunciation and love. And finally, confidence in God. Because the confidence in God is the result of this. If I don't have confidence in myself, can I have confidence in God? Why not?
Because it's God in yourself.
Yes. I'm a creation of God. And if God created me to doom, I don't trust in God, right? Can I have confidence in life if I don't have confidence in God? Who created life? Who created everything? Right? First question of the Spirit's book. What is God? Not who is God. What is God?
Source of life.
No, it's not exactly this answer, but it's it also takes this. Who remembers? Vamos,
Eu lembro em português.
Portuguese, I will try to translate.
Causa primária de todas as coisas. Inteligência suprema, né? É a causa primária de todas as coisas.
Supreme intelligence, the main source or the first source of all things. So, it takes, right? So, if it's the first source of all things, it's the source of life. And if it's the source of life, again, if I don't have confidence in life, I end up not having confidence in love. In God, pardon me. So connecting all this and fulfilling this in my life, I will have a more convicted faith. Because I have confidence and everybody's working for my good, even though sometimes doesn't seem like it. And most of the time, a few years later, we'll see, oh, that was the best thing for me that happened. Although right now we say, how can I be passing through this and etc. But later on, as we wild the timeline of life, still in this life we might see that was good for me. I learned something. I became better after this, through this sacrifice and the renunciation that I made in that moment. So the invitation today, my dear friends, brothers and sisters, is let's seek for this convicted faith in 2020. Let's try to understand better the way we learn, the way we can promote goodness in life. And if it is in Spiritism, you're mostly welcome to come and work in this house and help to develop, because really that's what the Spiritist Center is. We don't think that it's in here we will find salvation, but in here I will have the opportunity to develop myself, exercising, working together with other people, learning from the experience of other people how to pass through that. This is the Spiritist Center. It's not a holy place that with magical things that will come in and then our past will be erased. It doesn't work like this. I'm sorry to say, it doesn't work like this in the masks, doesn't work like this in the church, anywhere. Because Jesus have already told us this 2,000 years ago. The kingdom of God's in here. Out there, I exercise to develop in here. Do you see the difference? I have the chance. But I can't just say no. I don't want to do it now. That's fine. I can go and help that handicapped person that's trying to across the street and nobody's helping. I can be the one that will. I can be the one that will give that comforting words when a family member is passing through a big trial, big time, right? I can be the one who will raise the hand to a friend when this friend is passing through a very, very, very bad time. And it's not for nothing that our name here specifically is fraternity. It is fraternity because fraternity, which has nothing to do with the concept of North American fraternity, but to the connection to the virtue that comes from frater. Frater means brother. Feeling of brothers and sisters. This is what this house invites us to do. And it's not easy. Because I'm pretty sure from previous lives that we were talking before, we probably had experiences, and maybe these experiences weren't the best. I hope I didn't kill any of you, but I hope in this life we can transcend that. And this is why we're here, together with lots of faith. Thank you very much. I don't know if we have the kids will present us something, I guess. Is there any comments, any questions, any points? Real good. Okay, thank you very much, guys. You're coming? Turn that thing. Yay!